So this is processing yucca leaves, and these are green leaves that my friend has cut and saved for me, and they're still pretty fresh. It feels like they're not dried out yet, and I really like this plant. I've been wanting to get to know them for years and just haven't been in the right place at the right time to collect them from somebody, and I haven't bothered putting them in the garden. But every time I see them, I'm reminded about how much I want to get to know them. I saw a friend processing and making them into cordage years ago and was just really struck by this leaf. They behave a lot like pineapple leaves, but of course they're so much longer that the fiber inside the leaf is beautiful and long and very strong. It feels like we'll see how the cord dries and how that feels like when it's all done. But as you can see, even just scraping a little bit, the skin is much thinner than the pineapple and less fleshy and juicy, so it comes off very easily, that skin layer. And I'm using a dull edge of a tablespoon. This is like a pretty cheap spoon. It's kind of thin, but it's been used for a long time, so instead of that cut edge of the metal being sharp or having a little bit of a burr, it's thin but kind of rounded, so it's not cutting the fiber as I scrape. But you could experiment and see, like, if you've got a non-serrated butter knife, that might work too, or different kinds of spoons, or the back of a knife. Just experiment and see. Basically what I'm looking for in a tool is that thin metal edge that'll just help me scrape without cutting. And I'm just working on a cutting board here. And like I said, it behaves a lot like the pineapple. The one difference that I'm noticing, and you can kind of see that white line, in the middle of the leaf, there's like almost a spongy, thicker layer or connective tissue between these fibers, and of course it makes sense. This is like a very long, rigid leaf, and they need that core. But you can see I'm going to try to split it. You see how the edges are feathery, but the inside is still stuck together. So I've just been trying out, and I'm still new, so I'm getting to know this plant, but I'm just splitting them a little bit, and then I'll continue to scrape that middle part. And again, it's not really hard to do, but it does take a little while. You can see it just starts to feather pretty quickly as you go, but it's so fun. And it's still easy to kind of break off pieces, so sometimes if they're nice, I'll save the broken off ones aside and add them in later. That works too. And making cord with the filament like that is so nice because you can choose how thick or how thin you want to make that string. that little end bit is really, kind of spongy. You can see the liquid coming out of it. It's kind of neat. But again, it's like it doesn't really take a lot to get it to start to separate and feather out. It's just really nice. The fiber's right there and kind of easy to find. That is one thing. It starts out really nice and clean and clear as you're scraping, but then as you go back and forth, it's easy to catch shorter ends and they smush up and you do get kind of these little knots, but it's okay. You can just pick them out. And I'm just going to collect up all those little bits and pieces and make sure I get to use as much as I can. There's always some of those that get scraped out or they're a little bit shorter, and I don't try to save them all, but sometimes it's just like, oh, that's such a nice little thread. But this is a cord I started just a little bit ago this morning, and it's so fun. Like I said earlier, with the kind of the threads of the leaf like this, it's easy to add in as much or as little as you want, which helps keep the thickness of the cord even, which is satisfying. It also helps, I think, sometimes when the cord goes from thick to thin, that place where the join is, there's a little more stress or strain on the thin spot, because it's more flexible than the thick spot. It just weakens the cord for that reason also, in addition to how it's just a little bit thinner. So it's nice to be able to kind of portion out the filaments of the fiber there. And what I like to do is kind of alternate which end gets the thin end of the leaf versus the butt end of the leaf, which is a little thicker, so that it just helps keep that more even too, so you don't have one side that gets thicker and thicker and one side that gets thinner too early. And that seems to work pretty well. But it's just so nice. It's really smooth, and we'll see how, as it dries, how the cord feels. I feel like it's going to be kind of strong and flexible. I don't think it's going to be too brittle or like snappy. So we'll see how it feels as that dries. And I kind of made this thinking net, but I always think net, so I'm trying to not get excited and just work it all up into cord and maybe scrape and save some of the fibers and use them for a different kind of technique or basketry thing. I've got a few things in mind that might be fun to try that I think would work with this. There's a really cool twined, almost fabric making technique that they think they might have used in the Paleolithic, or it might be Neolithic, and I'm really curious to try that, so we'll see how that works out. But it's really just been so fun to get to work with this fiber. So Razia, thank you. Thanks for saving leaves for me. That is definitely always the way to my heart. I really appreciate people that save materials, because sometimes it's really hard to find all the things or find enough of the things. So this has been a lot of fun. I'm also finding that this isn't as splintery as some of the other, like the milkweed fiber that I processed and saved and dried. It's got really splintery bits in it, and it's kind of ouchy, so I might have to wet it and see if it's more like easy on my hands to do it that way. But this is still pretty green. I'm hoping it won't shrink too much as it dries, but we'll see how it does. And there you have it. Oh, it's so pretty. I'm so excited. I'm really happy with how it's turning out.